Hello and welcome. These are horse racing selections for Friday, the 8th of November. I am Flatcap Callum and I'm hoping you are all very, very well. Well, this might be your lucky day, your unlucky day, depending on how you want to view it. This might be part one of two videos that might come out on Thursday night. If you're watching it Thursday night, if you're watching it Friday, then you can watch it Friday. But putting this video out nice and early by my standards. I'm a little bit thoughtful about there might be some price movements. I wanted to get it out in decent time. So what I'm going to do is then do a separate video with the ramble that I had all lined up to do. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So yes, this is the first video with the selections for Friday. Then might be a follow-up video, which I might time the release for something like 11:30 tonight. So for those of you like a ramble, you can get the separate video, which is ramble only, no selections. And those of you who don't want the ramble, you don't have to worry about it because it's on a separate video. Just basically didn't want to get confusing to people to then watch a ramble thinking there's going to be horses, and then I'm like, no, there's no horses, you've got to watch the other video. That gets confusing. Clearly, if you've subscribed and you've got a free Thursday night, you'll be watching both in the right chronological order. But others can then just, the Thursday, the ramble for this one, apart from the fact I'll probably go for the Tipster League, might be a timeless classic. Who knows? I'll talk about what I'm going to talk about on that at the end. I'll go through the horses for the purposes of this video. So we didn't do anything Thursday. Wednesday's the last time I played. 13 quid. It was an outrageous one. That, to be honest, looked Babatunde. I thought that looked like it was going to be. It was fourth, solid fourth, and I think once the jockey realised James Best he wasn't going to get third, he pretty much stopped because a whole bunch of others went past it. So tried to a degree. That was just gutted and disappointed about that. There's nothing much I can say. I just don't think it wasn't up to the task. That ran with credit, again, outran its odds, and as did that one after a bit of a drift. I think it was 50-1 was the SP, but ultimately none of them framed, so no money back on the outrageous bet, 13 on 0 back. We are still sat, not technically, we are still sat on £34 profit since I've come back. That is a true fact. As I've said on the previous videos, if you went for a calendar year from January the 1st, I am losing on this channel. If you went from a 12-month round period, I am winning. It all depends on how you want to slice your cake. What I will do is I'll tell you how you can slice your cake to make your cake look great, or your cake look like basically it's not cake. See what I mean? So, Friday. I'm going to do 11.50 play, 5 horses, 1 at Newcastle, 4 at Dundalk. And I said a while back on a different video, I'm going to play Dundalk a bit differently and not necessarily do star system. So I know I've also said on another video the non-star horses haven't been performing well. Dundalk is just it's a whole separate little thing. So I've got one star horse at Newcastle and 4 at Dundalk, and a couple of them are a bit rogues. So here is my 11.50 interest for Friday. 3:28 Newcastle, Prince Akil. It runs very consistently over course and distance. It's running off a mark of 65. It was second off a 65 previously. When it went to 67, that was £2 higher than it is today. It was third. When it was off 62, it won. So £3 lower, it won. So it should be in and around the right sort of place. I'm looking at the other horses. There's a couple that you think, yeah, probably likely to be shorter in the price. I'm not really sure what the market's going to do with it. I don't think there's going to be much difference in the price come the off time. We'll see. But it seemed like a solid enough bet to start us off with. 1 star, Prince Akil, 9-1. We're then going for the Dundalk ones. 5:30 Dundalk, Velvet and Vine. I'm quite surprised about the price. So this horse, historically, is a horse that usually when the betting market's open, it's like a silly price. And then it comes in, and then sort of once you get to half an hour before the race, no one's too interested and it drifts back out again. So I'm really not sure what's going to happen with the price on that one, and it really wouldn't surprise me if it got considerably bigger. If it did, it wouldn't worry me in the slightest on that specific horse. But yeah, it ran a competitive enough race last time. Inexperienced jockey. It was a bit sort of wiggly on the track. The horse that won, Glide Rangers, reopposing now. But that one just had a dreamy ride up on the inside. No traffic problems at all. Won very comfortably. But there is a £10 weight swing. That's if you don't take into account last time that had a £7 claimer. So if you just look on the weight the horse is carrying, not the claiming part of it. So take out the jockey's difference. The actual just weight is £10 better off. I think it's likely to run reasonably competitively in this sort of a race. Let's find out. And then we've got 6:30 Dundalk. It's a listed. Not all bookies are 4 here. There is 14 runners, a couple of reserves. Cloud cover. James Tate sending over 2. He sent over horses already to Ireland this year pretty successfully. Royal Dress won a nice race at a decent price. He's also had another horse, I forget its name, begins with E, ran it twice, ran it at Dundalk, it came third. That's the only time he's ever run a horse at Dundalk. Interesting from a jockey booking point of view, he's got 2 in the race, same ownership as the other horses he sent from Dundalk. The interesting thing here is he's got Billy Lee on one and Ross Ryan on the other. Ross Ryan, he does ride for him in the UK, but is not one of his sort of main go-tos, and Billy Lee has never ridden for him. So Billy Lee's on cloud cover, but ultimately I think it's the horse with the most solid form in the race, and I think it will be shorter than 10-1. So yeah, as I'm not doing star system on there, but I think the horse will be shorter than 10s. Then we go in where we've had a bit of previous. So this time last year, we were having a little bit of a bad time, and then a zinger on the Friday night at Dundalk. Corresponding races, Division 1 and Division 2, the mile handicap. We managed to hit a 16s and a 40s, or I think it was 25s and 40s, depending on whatever you got the prices. Can I repeat the trick? Lightning doesn't often strike twice on this channel. Where we do well, we don't always do well again, and where we do badly, sometimes we do well. See what I'm saying? But what are my rogue selections? Because I actually think there's a couple at the front of the market that look right, and then actually there's not much else that would catch my eye at all. So I'm taking a chance on 2. So 8 o'clock Dundalk, Safer Fad. Not much to go on with the horse really. It didn't run well last time. That was absolutely true. It's only run at Dundalk once before, but I quite liked the race it ran in. It's £6 lighter than it was, and it was it sixth? I think it was sixth or seventh maybe. All the horses ahead of it have either run to the same standard or better since that race, pretty much at Dundalk as well. And so that tells me the standard of it was reasonable in terms of where that horse finished, even though it didn't do a great deal. So yeah, I think it's overpriced for what it's done. And then I think if you look at the horse that finished 1 place behind it, Morning Approach, I think is running in the 2nd division. So in that one, so that they ran against each other. That finished 1 place ahead in Morning Approach. Morning Approach is about 8-1 for the 2nd division of that one, and it finished 1 place behind it. And that one's actually that's dropped more in the handicap mark. So I think the market's got it a little bit wrong, and I do think that one will probably be shorter. Wouldn't expect to run on it in terms of it to go really, really shorter, but I do expect to be shorter than that. And then 8:30 Dundalk, real flyer on this one, you would say. At West, it's a 4-year-old making handicap debut, Dundalk debut. So Aidan McGuinness has had this. He's run it in 4 maidens. Once at Laytown last time, it was Stone last. 3 other runs. Hasn't really achieved anything of note at all. That being said, the breeding of that horse and the value that the horse was paid for tell me that that horse should be running to a much better standard than what it's achieved in maidens. So it's a full brother to... It's a girl. So its full brother, it's the sister. Its full brother was O Herbert's Reign, which ran, I think, top whack 90 marker 93. So decent standard. Not necessarily an all-weather horse, but decent standard. And then if you look at it, it's the history of the horse, the family of the horse. Some of you remember like the O, it's Herbert Reign is also O, it's us, and there's all sorts of other horses in there. And that's a relative to O, it's us as well, which was marking the hundreds. So it's got some really good relatives. It wasn't a cheap horse. And Adam Caffrey is riding it for the first time. It's actually had, I think Colin Keane's ridden it, James Ryan somewhere. So not regular jockeys for McGuinness. Been on that one. So Adam Caffrey's on it. If that one has a bit of a run on it, that would be interesting to see. But yeah, 28 I think is a good price for a race that is winnable in there. So that's what we're going with. It's the usual 5 horse bet for me. 10 times 20p win doubles, 10 times 15p each way trebles, 5 times 15p each way fourfolds, and a 25p each way fivefold. Pound win single on Prince Akil. That's the star horse. 275p. That's I know you can't read that, but that's 75p win singles, the 2 tenors, and then we're going 250p each way singles on the 2 biggies. Sky are best because you can get an extra place here and here, and then in terms of the bookie advice really is about this 6:30 at Dundalk. So 365 are not currently 4 places, which they probably will be in the morning, but right now Sky, Paddy, Betfair, Ladbrokes, Betfred, Unibet, Corals, Boyle Sports are all 4 on that one, which would be a helpful place to put your bet on. Most bookies are 4, but all bookies are from Sky are 3. 11.50. All right, that's my what I'm going to do. And then as far as the supplementary ramble video, so I'm going to talk about Tips League on the ramble, so that will age because that won't be relevant afterwards. I was trying to wrap up a whole bunch of different subjects about how I could explain stuff because I don't like going into, I try and keep the channel casual, and I'm sort of not intending it to kind of get into serious stuff language wise and stuff. I try and I'm trying careful with my own language, but I've come up with a way, I think, of trying to explain why market drifters aren't bad. So that's kind of one thing, because I talk about that on the channel. So how market drifters aren't as bad as you might think they are. Part of what I wanted to try and explain is why I think it's harder to make a profit now than, say, 5 years ago. And so I've kind of wrapped that subject in there. The bit where I'm starting to get a little bit more into more technical stuff that some of you will be fine with and some of you will be new to, is to talk over round figures, because over round figures I think are becoming a bit of a problem. I haven't got, it would take me months to try and get data that actually really truly proves the point I'm making. It would be very difficult. But I want to kind of illustrate the point a little bit with over round figures. And what I'm talking about with over round figures, because it's quite an important subject, is the profit margin that bookies make, and I'm talking about sports books, that bookmakers make off punters. Because my belief is that is getting bigger. I think they are artificially reducing the odds of horses in order to make a better profit margin than they did 5 years ago. That is my belief. So I'm going to talk about why drifters aren't bad, how over round figures work, without I'm going to try and get into it without too much mathematical conversation, but you'll need some of it. So I know it will go over some folks' heads. But I'm also intending within that to illustrate the point, because I don't talk about it on here because I try and keep it simple, but the importance and the power of exchange markets, and why, depending on how you actually choose to bet, using an exchange market is basically a lot more. You're a lot more likely to make profit from an exchange market than sports books. I try and keep stuff simple on here because most people can walk into a bookmaker's. You can't walk into an exchange market. You have to go online to do that. And you have to be a little bit more switched on and savvy to navigate yourself around exchange market. So I tend to just avoid talking about it, generally speaking. That is all the contents of what's going to be on the additional ramble video, probably with some other stuff in there. And I'm going to try my darndest to make it accessible to people, because I think there's some stuff in there that your average punter probably doesn't understand, and it might open your eyes a little bit to do it, and I'm going to attempt to do it not complicated. We'll see. All right, that's my ramble about the ramble. So you've got the preamble for the ramble. All right. Okay, I will see you on the next video, which is the ramble. After that, I'm doing selections for Saturday, and then I'll probably update you. But I'm thinking that Sunday through to Wednesday is a bit tricky for me in terms of I've got a lot of stuff on outside of doing betting and YouTube, and so it may well be there may be a bit of a gap in video production, but I will sort of, yeah, it depends. If I come up with a few things that are super duper, I might put the videos out, but it's gonna be tricky. I'm not gonna have the normal amount of time I would usually have to dedicate to research on across that period of time. So there may be a little bit of a gap. That also plays into something else I'm going to talk about the ramble about quality of racing. All right. Okay. That was a lot of ramble about the ramble. See you on the next video. Thank you very much. Bye bye.